I'm Jimmy Lewis, Dirt Rider Magazine, and this is KTM's 2012 450 XCW. Okay, KTM changed everything on this bike except for this oil plug, this bolt right here, that spring, the foot peg, and this little rubber cap. But other than that, everything on the bike is brand new. This XCW relies on the PDS linkageless shock system for simplicity. They've done something really cool. They've isolated the shock tower up off the main frame spar. That changes the bump compliance. It doesn't transmit as much bumps to you. The chassis on the bottom of the frame looks a lot more like the 350 XC and some of the 125s where they've sloped. They've taken a big chunk of motor off there and they've gotten the chassis a lot smaller. This whole thing is 8 pounds lighter than last year's bike, but when you're riding it, it feels 20 pounds lighter because of what they've done with all the spinning mass, and they've done a really good job. The forks are very similar. They spent a lot of time getting the stiction out, better bushings, and the whole package, the plastic, the seat, the side panels, everything feels thinner, more compact, but they haven't given anything away in fuel range. And the whole bike, from a chassis perspective, is pretty incredible. The theme for this bike is everything's new, but I was lying about all those little parts. There's a lot of little parts, little interchange, but most things are completely different. The motor is a perfect example. KTM's gone to fuel injection on this thing. It's something that I'm sure they learned from Husaberg, and they made it even better on this bike. It's marvelous, and I love fuel injection. You don't even have to touch anything. You just twist the throttle at any altitude, it's perfect and ready to go. Inside the motor, they kept the stuff that they really liked. The stuff like the single cam. They kept most of the components in the cam train that are almost all the same, except they completely changed the head to work with the fuel injection. The bore and stroke on the 450, it's the same, but all the parts are lighter. There's a different moment of inertia on the crank. The counterbalancer, smaller for lighter weight. The clutch, smaller and tighter. It's using a diaphragm spring inside of there. Everything's shrunk. Now, all of the oil is in one compartment. It's no longer a transmission and motor oil. It's all one oil. And so they've been able to take a lot of room and volume out of that thing. This motor looks almost as small as the 350 motor, except it's the same motor that's in the 500. And power-wise, they're not giving anything up by doing that. In fact, I'm pretty sure the power got stronger. It's just a little bit different. So what you really want to know is, how does it work? Well, I'll tell you one thing. If you own an older KTM XCW, do not ride one of these. You'll pretty much be looking for a way to buy one. Frankly, they've kept all the good characters and traits that the XCs have always had. Just a really good standard level of performance, but it's high performance, but it's tuned to be working off-road. It's a single track bike. The bike works awesome when you're on like tight technical trails because it feels so stinking light. When you're riding this thing, just turning back and forth, this thing feels like kind of like what we really liked about the Beta 400. It just has a super light and agile feel, and the power is completely complementary to the way the chassis works. It really never has too much. It's just enough to keep you going. It has torque and it's strong. It's pretty resistant to stalling, but when you get it open, you come out of that mid-range up onto the top, the thing fires and goes like a 450, and it revs and screams really a lot quicker and faster than a 450 should. Makes really good power, it's plenty fast, but they've really kept a cue on the bottom end to make it super rideable and controllable. The suspension, they've pretty much nailed it. We had guys that were anywhere from 220 pounds all the way down to 180 riding this thing, and we didn't do anything. In fact, we wanted to do the spring preload. The toolkit doesn't have a 4mm Allen, so we didn't do it. And everybody was so happy with it, we didn't even start changing clickers. A few of us wanted to slow the rebound in the back down a little bit, but other than that, I think KTM, they got a lot of experience doing this. The bike works good in all different types of terrains, over rocks, roots, smooth trails. You can bounce it through the hoops. It's probably not as happy as the old bike, you know, pounding through big giant hoops, but who wants to do that anyways? The motor has a really super smooth power spread. The best part about it is that it's seamless. but it's got a really light feel. It doesn't have a big chug or a thump to it. It's just like a blend of smooth power. And on the bottom, that light feel, that can translate to not a lot of flywheel. And if you're not careful, if your throttle's off and you're not good with your clutch and you kind of drop your clutch with the throttle off or you're hard on the brake, it can stall. It's something you get, you pick up on really quick and you quit doing it. The other amazing thing is there's hardly any compression braking in this motor. So it acts a lot like a two-stroke on decel. When you shut the throttle off and you're coming down, from a high RPM, it doesn't try to throw you over the handlebars. It actually just gets really good traction and aids in the braking. It doesn't overcompensate, which is a big problem for some people with four-strokes. In conclusion, we think KTM's absolutely nailed it with this bike. This 450 is everything you've come to expect, except nobody can believe how light it feels when you're riding it and how easy it is to ride. I personally can't wait to ride the 500 because if it's anything like this, which is a little more torque and a little more power, it's going to be completely awesome. I think the 350, I can't wait to ride that either because if it feels any lighter, it's going to be a feather. It's going to blow 2 strokes away. So if you're thinking about getting one of these, I get in line quick. I don't think they're going to last. So I'm Jimmy Lewis of Dirt Rider Magazine, and I will see you out on the trail. Jeez, I don't know what happened. It was like I gassed it too much or something. I'll go get another one.